All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Michael Coldesina, and I'm the manager of travel industry accounts with Sports Travel and Tours. And I am grateful that everyone was able to take some time out of their evening, especially because of what's going on right now in Atlanta, Georgia. So thank you very much. Just a couple of housekeeping items before we start. I have muted everyone, but if you are joining recently. Please make sure that your microphone is on mute. We're going to have close to 200 people joining us. We are encouraging questions, but we're asking you if you have any questions to please use the chat feature that's in Zoom that's down in the lower toolbar. It should be on kind of left of center, and it has two little kind of dialogue balloons. And if you click on that, you should be able to chat in a question. We will answer all the questions and we'll stay as long as we need to make sure that everything is answered. So let me go ahead and share my screen here. We do have a number of the tour hosts that are joining us. And then also, if you're scrolling through the number of windows with people, if you see Jay Smith, Sports Travel and Tours, he is the president of Sports Travel and Tours. And the reason that we are in a place that we are today as official licensed travel partner of the National Baseball Hall of Fame and Museum in Cooperstown.
Konnichiwa, everybody.
Okay. So just a quick shameless plug for some of the other things that we do at Sports Travel and Tours. We're not just packages to the National Baseball Hall of Fame induction. We also do about 15 hosted baseball trips each year. One of those trips always includes Induction Weekend, and some of those travelers are on the Zoom tonight. That's called our Induction Plus. But we do football, basketball, hockey, horse racing, tennis, golf. We've got two great tours for the Tournament of Roses Parade in Southern California each year. And both of those tours, you do have the option of adding in tickets to the Rose Bowl. We also do a lot of your major bowl games. So please think about us for any of these major events. But even if it's just a custom event, we do those as well and would love to help plan a great sports trip for you. All right, let me move on here. See if I can get there we go. Also want to give a plug to our Stadium Hall of Fame. For those travelers that are on our Induction Plus program, when you meet up with your tour host, Gary, in Boston, you're going to receive a passport to baseball. This is modeled after a U.S. passport and has a page for each major league stadium. When you travel with us, you get to different stadiums, you'll get a sticker for your passport. And when you've been to all 30 major league stadiums, with traveling with us, we invite you to Cooperstown Hall of Fame weekend in July, and we hold an induction ceremony in the Hall of Fame. You get a plaque, you get to make an acceptance speech, and then there's actually a Stadium Hall of Fame binder that is normally found at the membership desk, except for induction weekend, and it has a bio page with a picture for each of the approximately 135 Stadium Hall of Fame members that have joined this club since our first class in 2001. So ask your tour hosts about this. They may have a sample passport that you can take a look at, but it's a really great program, and we look forward to welcoming our next class in 2026. So each year, tens of thousands of people descend on the tiny village of Cooperstown, New York, at the foot of Otsego Lake to witness the great induction of baseball greats, whether they're players, some are managers, some have been baseball umpires, some have been baseball administrators. But anyone that excels in baseball in whatever that capacity is has an opportunity to be honored in Cooperstown during induction weekend. And a week from this Sunday, we're going to be able to witness 5 new inductions. Billy Wagner, CC Sabathia, Dave Parker, Dick Allen, and Ichiro Suzuki. So I know I'm excited. I've been to every induction since 2012, and they never get old. It's just one of the best weekends you can imagine if you're a baseball fan. So we're going to go over the weekend details. The first thing I want to say is that unless you have just signed up on the trip and have not received your final document email yet, which should be coming, you should have already received your itinerary. And one thing I wanted to point out is that at the bottom of the itinerary, after you've passed the last day, there's a lot of useful information that sometimes gets overlooked. There's a link to a map of Cooperstown. It talks about the motor coach assignment that's at the top of the itinerary, where you can see on mine, it says motor coach assignment number one, Ozzie Smith. This will give you a little bit more detail. There's also information about the weather to expect. It can get cool in the evenings, into even into the mid 50s. And on some of those mornings, like Saturday and Sunday, when we arrive early, some people might want a light jacket, pullover of some sort. So keep in touch with the weather for Cooperstown and Albany or Oneonta or Utica, depending on which city you're in, and just make sure that you've got the appropriate clothing. Also, it talks about food. It talks about Cooperstown. It talks about Albany for those that are staying at our packages in Albany. And then it also gives information about gratuities, the luggage wraps, the giveaways that we're including, which is special collectible from the Highland Mint. So just make sure that you go to the bottom of that email, scroll to the bottom, and just look through all the different pieces of information and links to different items as well. So I know some of you may be coming in a day or two early, but our packages start on Friday, July 25th. And depending on individual itineraries, you're going to be meeting up with your tour host somewhere between 3:30 and 5:30 p.m. at your host hotel. Trip receptions will begin between about 5 p.m. and 7:15 p.m. And for those select packages in Albany that are staying at the Marriott Albany, you can look forward to our Ump's Eye View sports talk with formerly Major League umpire Al Clark. And then also, oops, I went one slide too far here. See if I can go back one. It is not letting me go back. There we go. And also, our packages in Oneonta also include the Ump's Eye View. If you do not know who Al Clark is, Al Clark, former Major League umpire, spent 26 years in the big leagues as a professional umpire, was on the field for many great events such as Nolan Ryan's 300th win, Cal Ripken's record breaker, and the one that always intrigues me is he was on the field for the 1989 Bay Area World Series between the Athletics and the Giants when the Loma Prieta earthquake hit. Al goes through a lot of great stories, gives you perspective of what baseball is from an umpire's perspective, and it is absolutely a great evening that you won't want to miss. So moving into Saturday, all of the packages include breakfast at your host hotel, and then departures for Cooperstown are going to be varied depending on your location. Check your individual itineraries. But from Albany, it is approximately an hour and 15 minutes from the different hotels into Cooperstown. And then from Oneonta, it's approximately 30 minutes. From Utica, it's just under an hour. And then from Cooperstown, from the hotel that we have there, it's just about a 5-minute drive into town. When you arrive at the Hall of Fame, well, before you arrive, you're going to receive a lanyard like you see pictured here. And this is really going to be your entrance into the Hall of Fame. Even though on Saturday morning, your host will hand you a letter with a membership card from the National Baseball Hall of Fame, since we are the official licensed travel partner, it's that lanyard that they recognize. So make sure that you have that handy. There, in a little bit, I'll show you a map which shows you the different entrances to the Hall of Fame. But when we first arrive, we're going to go in the library entrance, which is reserved just for members of the Hall of Fame. And there's never a lineup, as you might see at the main entrance on Main Street, where people are waiting to buy an admission. We're never going to have to wait in line, and that's one of the benefits of traveling with us. So for many of you, most of the day is going to be at leisure. A couple of packages do have events going on during the day. A couple of the trips have Artifact Spotlight. There's also some that have the ump's eye view with Al Clark. And then there's also one that is going to be attending the Hall of Fame Awards presentation at 3 p.m. If you're not familiar with what the Hall of Fame Awards presentation is, this is the annual winners of the museum's Ford C. Frick Award for broadcasters and the Baseball Writers Association Career Excellence Award for writers that are honored at the awards presentation each Hall of Fame weekend. And this takes place a little bit off-site, but it's a great feature. If you're looking to come back in future years, look for our packages that include that. But the big event on Saturday evening is at 6 p.m. That's the Parade of Legends. This is where all of the returning Hall of Famers, and we should have a list probably with sometime this week, or if not early next week, of all the returning Hall of Famers that will be in attendance. They parade down in the order of the year inducted. So if there was someone from 1970 and that was the furthest away year that we have a living representative still with us, they would be first. And then they go through each year until they end with the class of 2025. And they parade right down Main Street. Viewing areas are great, especially if you stay on the side of Main Street where the Hall of Fame is. The sidewalk tends to slope down a little bit. The street level's a little bit lower, so that even if there's a number of people in front of you, you got an excellent view. They typically, at least for the last 13, 14 years, have been coming down Main Street in the back of pickup trucks sitting on raised platforms. So even if you are a few people deep, they're going to be at a higher level than you are, and you have no problem seeing them. So it's a great event. Hopefully everyone will enjoy that. And the parade ends at the Hall of Fame with everyone receiving a red carpet welcome. The motor coaches will depart from the Doubleday Field parking lot, which Doubleday Field is about 2 blocks down Main Street. The entrance to the parking lot is on the same side of the street as the Hall of Fame. And the departures will be approximately 7:30 to 9 p.m. depending on your individual itineraries. And there we go. So this is just an overhead view of Cooperstown. The yellow arrow is where the motor coach is going to drop off. That's also the entrance to Cooper Park. The orange arrow is the main entrance to the Hall of Fame, where often there'll be a lineup of people waiting to get in. But the green arrow is the library entrance. That's where we're going to be going in when we first arrive, and is probably going to be the easiest entrance to the Hall of Fame on Saturday. The baseball diamond you see, that's Doubleday Field. And then just above that, that open parking lot space is the parking lot where the motor coaches will be picking up after the parade on Saturday evening. This is just an overview of the first floor of the Baseball Hall of Fame. So that main entrance that was on Main Street is indicated by the blue arrow. We will actually be entering from the blue arrow up in the upper right-hand corner, which is the library entrance. And what's nice about the library entrances is it really starts you out in a good location. There's information on baseball in the movies and Scribes and Mikeman, which talks about the baseball writers and the baseball broadcasters. But one of my favorite things to do right here where it says library atrium is there's a little bench and there's a TV monitor and it just loops Abbott and Costello's Who's on First. And every time I go to the Hall of Fame, I at least seek refuge there to kind of sit down, relax for a few minutes, get a cold drink of water, and just watch that at least once or twice through. It never gets old. It's just a classic feature. Also on the first floor is the Hall of Fame gallery, where all of the plaques are displayed. Now, the plaques will not be there for the class of 2025, but they will be there starting Monday morning for any of the packages that are 4 days, 3 nights, and come back into Cooperstown on Monday. But you will see the location where they'll be, and I believe the last time I was there in June, all of the living players had signed their spot on the wall. So that is kind of interesting and cool to take pictures of. And then this is the second and third floor. And the third floor is where the new Yaku baseball exhibit is. And there is both steps and elevator for easy access. Um, After you've come in through that first floor and you're going up to the second floor, um, the generations of the game in the grandstand theater I believe it runs twice an hour at a quarter after and a quarter to. It's about a 26-minute long movie, and it's a great movie. I watch it every time I go back to the Hall of Fame, and I tear up every time I watch it. It's just a great introduction to the Hall of Fame and what baseball means to those inductees. Also, there's two sets of restrooms on the lower level, and then one set of restrooms each on the second level and the third level. And just a reminder, there's also on the first floor, there's the Hall of Fame gift store. And remember, with your memberships, you do receive a 10% discount on anything purchased in the Hall of Fame, but also you get free shipping within the continental United States. So that's a great feature if you're buying a lot of items and you don't want to have to take them home with you, especially if you're flying in. Just have them send them back home or as gifts to whoever they may be going to, and you don't have to pay for shipping. As you can imagine, over the years, the different tour hosts that we have for the Hall of Fame have given several recommendations on where to eat lunch. And that's one of the nice things about Cooperstown is there are a number of great spots to get a bite to eat, whether it's for lunch on Saturday or even dinner later on, depending on what time your motor coach is scheduled to depart back to the host hotel. There's also on Saturday, Main Street's going to be closed to vehicular traffic. So there will be street vendors as well. So it's really easy to get a quick hot dog, a sausage sandwich, or other great fare, but a number of good restaurants. Mount Fuji on Main Street across from the entrance to Doubleday Field is one of my favorites to get a bento box. Sal's Pizza is good. The Cooperstown Diner, which is very tiny, but it serves great cheeseburgers. And also then if you want to walk about a block and a half north, almost directly from the Hall of Fame down Lake Street, there is a restaurant, I think it's called the Lakeside Hotel, as a bar and restaurant and great views of Glimmerglass Lake. Sunday, departures again, check your individual itineraries for what time you're leaving after breakfast to go into Cooperstown. The majority of our trips, you'll be arriving probably around 9:30-ish at the induction site, which is approximately 1 mile outside of town. Bear with me 1 second here. There we go. Oops. So you can see by the gold star, that's where the induction site is. And then you can see by the top gold arrow, that's where the Hall of Fame is. And this second gold arrow that's pointing to the street, once we arrive at the induction site, the buses will actually be parked on the opposite side of this gold arrow. Our seating will be approximately where the gold star is. Some will be a little bit ahead of that. If you're in one of our packages, it includes VIP seating, and then about where the gold star is for those that have seating in the reserved area where we set up lawn seating. But the village of Cooperstown and the Hall of Fame provides looping shuttles that will take you back up to Main Street so that you can go back to the Hall of Fame, go back and explore some of the many shops on Main Street. So once you see where your seating area is, and remember the seats are reserved, whether you're in um, the lawn area seating where we set up the chairs, or in the VIP seating, you've got a specific seating area. But you can then take advantage of those shuttles and go back up and spend some additional time. The induction ceremony doesn't start until 1:30, but the shuttles stop at 1 p.m. So we suggest being in line for the shuttle no later than 12:30 p.m. And the same location that we will be dropped off Saturday morning in front of the Hall of Fame is where the shuttles will be dropping off and picking up as well. So very convenient, right? Just there in front of the Baseball Hall of Fame. So there are refreshments that are sold on site. The local high school has had the concessions for as long as I've been going, since 2012, and they do a pretty good job. It's basically hot dogs, hamburgers, sodas, water, chips, but they charge a very reasonable price. I think last year I got two hot dogs, a bag of chips, and a Coke, and I paid less than $10. So it's very good, and it's easy. Plenty of portable restroom facilities on site as well. We will provide a box lunch that will be available in the motor coach at the end of the induction ceremony, but this would be approximately 4:30-ish, depending on how long the induction goes. But it will be nice. You'll get a cold bottle of water and a sandwich, a little salad, chips, piece of fruit, enough to tide you over until we get back to the hotel, and then you can take into account dinner at leisure. When the ceremony is over, and I will say that unless something goes awry with the weather, the buses will be parked on site approximately 200 to 300 yards from where we will be sitting. Once we load back up after the induction, it is generally about a 25-minute wait until they start releasing the motor coaches. They let the three or four coaches that will be carrying all of the returning Hall of Famers and dignitaries. They let them depart first, and then they'll start letting our buses depart. And I will say that easily half of you will be asleep somewhere between leaving the induction site and getting back to the host hotel, unless you're in Cooperstown or Oneonta. It never fails. The majority of my people end up falling asleep because it's been a long day and you've been out in the sun. And just a reminder, since this is an open air event, please make sure to bring sunscreen. You can bring a hat. Um, Umbrellas are permitted until the induction ceremony actually starts. But once the induction starts, they do ask any umbrellas be put down so they do not become an obstruction. For those that are on packages that are 4 days, 3 nights and include Monday back into Cooperstown, after breakfast, we'll be heading back into town. Please check your individual itineraries for the departure times. But the road to Cooperstown Live at Doubleday Field is the big event at 10:30 a.m. This is a question and answer session hosted by a moderator that will include the living members of the Hall of Fame. And I'm not sure what they will be doing for Dick Allen and Dave Parker. They may have a family member, but it may just be the three living members that are being inducted. But it's always a great event, a lot of great stories, and a lot of these players have had interactions with each other, both on the field and off the field. So it's interesting to hear their comments. There'll be additional time afterwards to have lunch at leisure and to explore more in Cooperstown. And then starting at about 3 p.m., and then depending on your individual itineraries, the motor coaches will depart for the hotel and for the airport. So I'm sure we have a lot of questions, so bear with me as I go into the chat feature. And I will say, if you don't want to ask your questions tonight, please don't hesitate to reach out. My contact information is here. Whether you want to call me, whether you want to email me, we'll certainly take the time to answer any questions that you have. But let me.
Michael.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
It's Jay. I'll breeze through some of these because I answered some of them while you were
Okay,
chatting.
sure,
So
go ahead.
one of the major questions, the first one was from Robert. He asked about weather at the induction, and the induction will go on. We've been doing this for 20 years, and it's gone on. The only time that they will delay or postpone for a piece of time, and that has happened before, by a half an hour, is if there is a threat of lightning. If it's just raining or it starts to drizzle, we do have ponchos with us as an emergency, and we will hand those out. But basically the show goes on. That's just the way they operate it. It's only an emergency if there's lightning, and that very rarely has come in the 20 years that we've been doing this program. The next question was, will players be doing autographs during the Hall of Fame Legends Parade? The During the actual parade, no. The players basically come in they're on the back of wonderfully beautiful shiny pickup trucks. And there's a player with a family member generally on the back of each one. They are indeed labeled as to who the player is, which is important because some of these guys, they're not as recognizable as they were when they were 20 and 30. So you will know who each player is that comes through. They are on the back of the pickup truck, so they don't have the opportunity. You are relatively close because this is on Main Street, so the parade is literally it's one street. It has it's only two lanes, one in each direction, so that's how wide it is. And you are on the sidewalks on both sides of the street. We do normally encourage people to stay on the Hall of Fame side of the street, Doubleday Field side of the street. And that's really for when the parade is over, we load up our motor coaches in Doubleday parking lot. And if you're stuck on the other side of the street, you will have a difficult time getting across because it's all blocked off with barricades. So the only time that you'd be able to do autographs, which I think Robert looks like Robert McPartland mentioned, is there are some storefronts. 24C, James wrote it as well. There is a store that is got all of the players. They are timed for the most part, and you'll be able to see them with no problem. And at that point, you can sign up, and it is a pay to play for autographs. If you keep your eyes peeled on Main Street, there are many times where some of the players, especially the older ones, including other players that are in town just for fun, that they are walking along the same street that you are, and you will most likely bump into other players on the street. Now, obviously, you've got to use your judgment as to how how many people are bombarding them for autographs, but you will potentially bump into other players while you're in town.
So one quick thing to add with the autographs. So if you do take a look at your final itinerary and go past the last day to some of the information, there is a section on autographs, and it does have a link to Hall of Fame signings. And we try to keep that updated as more and more information comes our way.
Hey, Michael, this is Mindy. Just wanted to add to what you said that there used to be numerous storefronts where different autograph companies hosted signings. The Hall of Fame signing link that Michael provided in your documents has pretty much taken over all of those major ones for the Hall of Famers. You will find a few here and there on the streets or in a couple of the stores. Those are usually not Hall of Famers, but other players that are in town, either to support a player or like Pedro Sierra is always there. And as we know, Pete Rose used to always be there. But that's how you're going to find it. So the majority of them are through the Hall of Fame signing link that's in your documents.
Yeah,
Right.
two years ago, Hall of Fame weekend on the Friday evening, I had my group at a restaurant in Cooperstown, and halfway through dinner, I noticed somebody was standing next to me, and I turn around, and it was Pete Rose. He'd been back in that part of the restaurant the whole time, and none of us had even noticed it. And he was nice enough to talk to the group for a few minutes, so it was an incredible experience.
One of the next questions was if we will be driving into Albany, what do we need to do to park our rental car? So all of the hotels in Albany, actually all of the hotels everywhere have parking lots available. So if you are driving, it's not a problem to park your car. They're all free lots at every hotel that we use. So you can just park your car, lock it, and you won't get back, and you won't need your car unless you want it in the evenings at some point when we get back to the hotel. But they're safe and sound right at the parking lot of each hotel. All right, one person, Lynn Smith, made a comment in regards to, and we do apologize. We had she got an email with her motor coach assignment, and then a couple of days later received the envelope with the QR code, and they didn't match. We did have one program that we missed on about 10 travelers, and Lynn, you were the lucky one. Maybe a lottery ticket or two might be worthwhile. Anyway, we did send you a specific link there afterwards that did indeed get you to the proper motor coach, and you can just disregard the QR code that came in your packet. All right. Is there a security rule for bags? I'm assuming, David Brooks, you meant at the induction site. The induction site, you want to carry in as little as possible. There is no real security rule for bags. They obviously are not looking for people to carry in, large carry-ons or suitcases. So travel light. You might catch on the Hall of Fame site some mention of clear, like Major League Baseball has clear bags. They don't abide by that. They have it written. I'm not really sure why they have it written, but it's not something that you have to worry about. So if you have a small purse or a small bag or a small backpack, and you want to carry that in, you surely can do that. It's not an issue.
The only real restriction that sometimes comes into play is if you are trying to bring in a tripod for a camera, they only do that if you have credentialed media passes.
Correct. So no large, video cameras on your shoulders, that type of thing. And then Casey asked about staying over. Anybody coming in for a pre-night or a post-night? So you're coming in Thursday or staying over until Tuesday. We have those reservations secure. They were not on that final information that we sent because that information was really a general information for everybody. If you want to verify your we've got them all set. We've double checked it and triple checked it, so you won't really have any problems. If you're worried about Tuesday that you mentioned, you could verify that when you arrive on Thursday or Friday and double check your late departure night once you get onto site. And if you have any other questions in regards to this or anybody else does, you can surely give our office a call during the week from 9:15 to 5, and would be happy to take a look at your reservation and confirm it with you as well. Let's see. I think parade will be yeah, Robert mentioned pick a spot early for your parade sighting. So everybody starts to line up to watch the parade. Some people start lining up at 9 o'clock in the morning, which is a little crazy. The sidewalks are only so wide. You won't miss the parade. There's obviously, people in the front, people in behind. You can only go 10 or 15 people deep. The sidewalk ends. So it's not really, if you're shorter than 5 feet, you might want to consider getting there a little bit earlier, 2, 3, 4 o'clock, and not waiting until 10 minutes to 6 to grab a piece of turf. Unfortunately, we can't block in the space for you, but we can indeed get you, to the right spot. You could ask your tour host as well where a good spot might be to watch the parade. We usually all hover somewhere around Doubleday Field. There's a driveway there that goes a little deeper, so you can get a little bit better vantage point in and around Doubleday Field's driveway. And the rest of the street, again, it's a kind of a double-sized sidewalk.
No.
And it's as deep as that double sidewalk is until you get to the stores. So the parade, as Robert mentioned, it gets a little crazy, and it does. But keep in mind, the parade is only an hour. So it starts at 6, generally on the dot, and it ends generally
By
around
7.
7. So if you start to get a little antsy just because there's so many people, it's not that long. And it does go rather quick as the players are driving by in their trucks. It's exciting and everybody's screaming and yelling. So you really are not standing there overly uncomfortable. If it's warm out, that time of night, it does, it can be warm because the sun's still up. But it's pretty much a quick, harmless hour of time. And it does go rather quickly because you're so entertained with all the old timers.
And it's definitely more crowded the closer you get on Main Street to the Hall of Fame. So we always suggest, Doubleday Field or a block going away from the Hall of Fame on Main Street.
And Steve Ikeda, I think we answered your question in regards to tote bags and packs, bringing stuff in. Not a problem. Water's not a problem. We also too in both, we have two different seatings, depending on the packages that you chose. If you are in the, as we call it, the infield, so to speak, the Hall of Fame actually provides waters while you're inside. Our other program that we have, that we are out in the general admission area, we set up chairs for you prior to your arrival. We actually set them up on now Thursday. So you're pretty much set as the closest you're going to get to the outside fencing, and we have coolers filled with waters. So they're iced up. They're as cold as you're going to get, and we just keep refilling the coolers. So waters for us are generally not a huge problem. Sometimes you have to get up from your chair to go over to the cooler to grab another one, but you surely can pretty much get as many waters at that point as you would like.
And Jeff had a question, and I know Robert responded to it, but if you can see, Jeff, if you can see the background behind me, that's the induction site. And you can see there to my, I guess, right shoulder or to the left of the screen, the large Jumbotron that they have set up. And I believe that was Mariano Rivera. So yeah, even it's great for viewing. I've walked back to the back of the induction site and you can still see it pretty well, and you can pretty much hear the induction from anywhere you're going to be at the induction site. The sound is very, very great.
And Jake did ask a question about getting a ballpark stamp, and Mindy corrected me. Thank you, Mindy. I was not aware that there's a stamp in the Hall of Fame for Cooperstown, but if you go, I forget, Mindy, where did you say that was? If you want a ballpark stamp, it's in the hall.
It's the National Baseball Hall of Fame has a stamp of its own, and it's usually in the store, but sometimes it's at the membership desk, which is on the first floor when you first come in. When we're coming in the library entrance, though, the membership desk and the store are like on the opposite end of the building. But if you're looking for that for your ballpark passport, that's where you would go. As far as someone else also asked if there were other stamps for the induction, not specific stamps for the induction people, but if you wanted to get a U.S. Post Office cash, the post office is open on Sunday, and you can get a stamp for the day, and it's a Cooperstown post office stamp with induction and the date of the induction. I think they also will do it on Saturday with the Sunday date. So that's something else you can get if you wanted that.
And let's see. Kaz asked a question. Whoops. Photos, and yes, you can take photos by a camera and zoom lens during the induction ceremony. Not a problem. You can actually video it if you want. You just can't have, a monster video camera that's going to get in the way of people in back of you. And while we're on that, you can have umbrellas. So if you're a little on the lighter side and afraid of sunburn, you can have your umbrella up prior to the induction. And as soon as the induction finishes, you've got to be able to take your umbrella down. Now, you can go away from the induction site, and there are some trees off in the background that you can get to some shade, but there are no shade trees at the induction site. Think of it as just a big wide open field. For those of you that might be old enough, think of Woodstock. That's what it looks like. But there is not any shade to be had. Sunscreen, which you need to really be able to put every spot that you possibly can get sunburn, you need to put sunscreen. Top of your ears, top of your feet, top of your head. Obviously, you need a hat. Anybody who's a little light on the top of your head, like I am, you definitely want to have sunscreen and or wear a hat. Let's see. Day pack, shuttles applied. Yes, they're,
Well, let me jump in on that one.
Yep.
So the shuttles that go from the induction site to the Hall of Fame and back on Sunday are for everyone, anyone that's there. They're not provided by Sports Travel and Tours. They're provided by the Hall of Fame and the Village of Cooperstown.
right. So the reason why, if you looked at your itinerary on Sunday, the majority of our programs do come in early on Sunday. I would say 3/4 of the people like it. There's a quarter of the people at that point are done with Cooperstown in town, and that extra time is just really hanging out time. The reason why we do go in early is so we're not entitled to drop off in town on Sunday. We have to go to the induction site. That is where the bonus that you have traveling with us, and you'll see all the motor coaches parked right at the induction site, is that you're right there. So anybody else who is driving in or coming in on their own, they have to park in remote lots, like 3 to 5 to 10 miles away from town. You have to wait for a shuttle. Sometimes it's long. And then you first have to shuttle into town and then get another shuttle up to the Clark Center, which is where the induction site is. So the bonus of being with us is that we bring you on Saturday right into Cooperstown to the Hall of Fame. You get dropped off right in front. And we pick you right up at the end of the parade, right at Doubleday Field in the center of town. You're not battling crowds. You're not battling traffic. You're not battling trying to, walk a mile or two to get to your car. So we go in early on Sunday to give everybody the opportunity, because Saturday is pretty crowded. It does give you the chance to get a little bit more time in town. There's not as many people in town Sunday morning or up until 1 o'clock or so. So you get a chance to either shop a little more. You can go back into the hall if you want. As a matter of fact, one of the best days to go to the Hall of Fame for anybody who doesn't care about going to the induction is once the induction starts at 1:30. It's the best time to go into the Hall of Fame because there's nobody there. It's totally empty. Obviously, you're all there for the induction itself, so I wouldn't suggest that. Let's see. Chad wrote, because of crowds, will there be enough time to see the Hall of Fame on the weekend? I'm considering renting a car and visiting Cooperstown also on Friday. That's not a horrible idea. It's depending on, Chad, which program you're on and which hotel you're at. It is, possibly an hour and a half into town and then back again. And we want you to get to our welcome gathering that night. But if you're interested in doing that, that's you will hit it a little lighter on Friday, and as well, depending on if you're staying on our program for Monday, it's a little lighter and less congested on Monday as well. Day packs, we talked about that. Yeah, and as far as getting into the Hall of Fame, because people are curious about crowds, the one also benefit, as Michael had mentioned earlier, but just to reinforce it, of being on the program with us, when you come in on either Friday night or Saturday or Sunday, we drop you off on Saturday right at the Hall of Fame. So when you walk out of your motor coach, you're literally going to walk off the motor coach. You'll have your lanyard on. And you can do either of two things. You can either walk in the front door, which we won't suggest for you to do, or you can walk around the back of the Hall of Fame to the library entrance. You don't have to show them anything. You don't have to do anything. You just have your lanyard on your front of you, or just take it and wag it like this, and they're just going to let you walk straight on through. You don't have to stop. You don't have to check with anything. Nobody has to stamp anything. When you leave the Hall of Fame, you don't have to get stamped to come back in again, because otherwise you'd be waiting online to get your hand stamped just to be able to wait online to get back into the Hall of Fame. All you need to do is have our lanyard on, and you can also walk right in the front door. So this is a major tip that you want to remember. If you come back to the Hall of Fame at all and you attempt to go into the front doors, which you can do, don't get on the line that's lined up down the street to get into the front doors. All of those people are waiting to buy admission tickets, and all you're doing is waiting in a line that you don't need to wait on. So you can bypass that line that's down the street and just walk right into the front doors of the Hall of Fame, wag your lanyard, and they'll let you right into the front as well. So do not wait online at any time in front of the Hall of Fame. You just need to walk around the crowd, walk up the front steps, almost kind of like you own the building. Just walk up with your lanyard, walk right through the front door, and walk right in. As soon as somebody looks at you, you're going to wag your lanyard at them, and they're just going to say, "Okay, no problem. Just keep on walking."
Jay, that's usually the entrance for our group. If they're going to go in the front door is the member side, which is the the doors on the left side.
Yeah,
so everyone will be lined up on the right. You want to go in on the doors on the left.
If they have it marked. There's been a couple of years where they haven't marked it members. So, but that is right. You can go in any door once you get up there, but you just don't want to stand on the line that's down the street along the right side, as Mindy just suggested. Let's see. Crowds make walking around town a little difficult. Yeah, but they do. The town is also Main Street is shut down, so you can walk along. If you get stuck on the sidewalks, you can just walk out in the street, and there's plenty of room on the street. I don't think we've ever had a year, where the street has been that crowded that you can't walk down the street. So just if you do get stuck on the sidewalk, you surely can walk out on the street and get out from around the crowd. Somebody mentioned about.
I was just going to say, Jay, with the exception of, right after the parade, even though there's barriers on Main Street, they have breaks in them to be able to easily get out and walk down the street, which is the easiest if you're going to go from, say, 2 blocks down Main Street. But once the parade starts, they close up those gaps so that when the parade's over, there's no easy access to cross from one side of Main Street to the other.
Leaving a bag in the bus with a raincoat. I wouldn't encourage you to bring a raincoat and then leave it in the bus. I would put it in a pack or carry it with you. The buses are locked up for the day. The drivers may be back at the bus, a half an hour after the parade starts at 6, and the drivers may be back at the bus at, let's say, 6:30. So you'd be able to get into your bus then. Major reason for this is you can't leave the buses, even up at the induction site. We can't leave the buses on. So the buses get hot. The drivers are not going to sit in them, and they can't put the AC on to keep them cool until we all are getting ready to load into the coach. So it's not that simple just to be able to go back and retrieve things. They are accessible in an emergency. We surely can get into the bus. We just have to be able to track the bus driver down in order to be able to get in there. So if you have some medication you forgot or some emergency reason that you need to get into the coach, we probably can get in due time. We did answered about the umbrellas, so you can surely do that. Dorothy asked about that. Mark asked about food. You can surely go into town in the morning. On the shuttle buses that the village provides, the school buses, and you can, if you want to buy food in town or buy a sandwich or something of that nature, you surely can bring that up to the induction site, no problem. Food up at the induction site, as Michael mentioned, is a little difficult. There's a couple of, hot dogs and hamburgers type of things set up. The lines do get fairly lengthy, so you will indeed, you could potentially stand on line for a half an hour or an hour waiting to get a hamburger or a hot dog and a bottle of water. So if you feel like you need to bring a snack with you, you surely can do that. And we will have, because everybody is starving by the time you get back on the motor coach, we have a very nice boxed lunch for you waiting for you at the bus. We have them delivered about a half an hour before the induction is over, and they'll be waiting for you by your bus before you load back up. And Michael, jump in here if there's something. How do I tell somebody one of us has shellfish allergy? You can just give us a call. Mark, just give us a call in the office tomorrow, and you can let the staff person that you originally booked with, what the allergies might be.
Yeah, and that would go with any other special requests like that. If there's something that would
Right.
be out of the norm, just contact us tomorrow. Or
Right.
in fact, I'll also put up my contact information again if you just want to shoot me an email. Give me 1 second here.
Mark, same thing as regards to, you know,
Mhm.
feather pillow. Give a buzz and we'll do our best.
Yep.
You could
Thank
also, when you check into the hotel, also you can
Yeah.
request that. I have the same issue, so I totally understand. Okay, and Mary and Paul asked about reserve viewing. There is not, unfortunately. I'd love to be able to get that for everybody. I would even pay extra. Then in turn, you would pay extra, but it's something that, the parade is free and it's just, you know, for 1 hour's worth of time, there is no reserved space that we can possibly get for people. I wish there was. Will there be other people on the street selling things, pictures? Oh yeah, all of Cooperstown. If you've never been to Cooperstown, I call it Main Street USA. It's the most delightful 3 or 4 blocks that you will ever walk through. If you walk a block or two off of Main Street, you can go down by the lake, which is beautiful. Everybody is selling everything everywhere. So as far as buying souvenirs, t-shirts, it's all sports, it's all baseball. So you name it, you're going to see it. And if you want to spend a lot of money, you surely can. The Hall of Fame does keep in mind, if you purchase, whether it be at the Hall of Fame or in their annex store, which is right next to the Hall of Fame, and you have your membership with you, which is your lanyard. You'll have your membership card, which we will give out to you on the bus on the way in. But all you need is really your lanyard. That tips the people off at the store that you are indeed a member, and you get a discount, and they will also give you free shipping. So there's not a real reason to carry things home with you unless you want to bring them home as a gift. You can surely have them shipped. It's only shipping in the continental US. So anybody who's coming in from Japan or Korea, or Canada, they unfortunately do not include free shipping.
So Robert had a question about says my packet said to bring a water bottle. Is that really necessary? It's not super necessary. I mean, there'll be plenty of places that you can get water on Saturday on Main Street. Even the Hall of Fame has a number of water fountains on I think all 3 levels of the Hall of Fame. And then at the induction site, whether you're sitting in the VIP section where the Hall of Fame is providing water, or our section, we're going to be providing water. So water will be available. And then if that's not enough water, there is water and soft drinks available for purchase at the induction site on Sunday as well.
And James Donovan, in regards to additional players signing on site, just take a look at the link that we have in the final documents. And I would just stay on top of that link because that will indeed get you to any additional. Right now, those are the ones that we know that are signing. And I think Dale.
Somebody had a question about why is the box lunch on Sunday given out at 4:30? There just really isn't an easy way to give it out during the induction ceremony. So we have it available as soon as the ceremony is over and everyone's getting onto the motor coaches. And also because then there's a waiting period before they actually let us depart. And that's pretty much when everybody is eating their box lunch and then falling asleep shortly afterwards.
And if you got the box lunch when we pulled in there at 9 or 10 in the morning, everybody would eat it, and then you'd still be starving at 4:30. So we've tried this in every which direction possible. The other opportunity to buy lunch is to go into town with the shuttle, school buses, and then you could, just plan to eat you've already had breakfast at the hotel at 7 o'clock, 7:30. Just plan to get some lunch in town on Sunday before you take the shuttle bus back up to the induction site. You also can opt to, if you want to have a beautiful walk, it's only about a mile from Main Street downtown to the Clark Center where the induction site is. So if you want to get some exercise, it's a nice mile walk through the center of town, through beautiful homes, very quaint little village. So if you're into walking, you don't have to take the shuttle bus back. And
And
Dale asked, I'm sorry, Dale asked here one question about you received the email with the link to the documents. That's the most important one. Dale, as far as getting something else in the mail, if you were the lead traveler, then you would have received just a little pouch with a QR code and a card, which brings you to the same link. So if you did not receive that, it's possible either the mail is slow, you might still get it, or if you were not the original person that booked and we didn't have your particular address, you might not have gotten that. But the important piece is the email with the link to those documents. That the card that was in that little pouch is what directed you to the final documents and the information. All right, Alicia, VIP seating for the parade, there is not. Are we allowed to bring in signs to the ceremony? You could probably bring in a small sign that doesn't get in the way of anybody. So when your player gets up to the stage and you want to wag that sign and yell and scream, I don't see that being a major problem. It's just when the speech starts, you obviously have to then pull it down so it doesn't interfere with anybody in back of you. Nancy Woods is talking about food. The luggage wrap. Catherine Smith asked about the luggage wrap. The luggage wrap is for the handle on your suitcase. So whatever suitcase you're packing with your clothes, and that's really more for visibility. John Werner answered that for you, I think. It's just to make sure everybody caught that. It's just that red little band that Velcros around your suitcase. And that's really more for us. If you're in the lobby of the hotel, you forget your bag, or it's sitting by the side of the bus, or something happens to it at the hotel, it gets lost in a room. There could be numerous reasons for your luggage to be separated from you. That will tell our tour host staff, our on-site staff from our office, as well as the hotels that you're staying, that is a bag from a sports travel and tours trip and one of their travelers. So that's really what it's there for. It does help in an emergency. I think
And if there are any questions that we've missed, we do get a transcript of the questions, and so I'll make sure that we address them. And we've got names. We'll include those additional questions if there are any in the email that goes out with the link to the recording.
Yeah, and you'll be able to get maps. Somebody asked about getting maps in town. We have maps. There's a map in your the nice part of the electronic documents versus physical ones is, other than helping the environment a tiny bit, is that it's on people's phones. We, for the longest time, used to send out paper documents, and people would be, gosh, I'd love to have this on my phone, but people weren't able to do that. They'd have to either take pictures or scan it. So this has the best of all worlds, because if you really want to print out what we email to you, you can surely do that and then have your own paper documents. This just gives everybody the availability of seeing everything live right on their phone. Let's see. Greg asked about arrival back at the hotel on Sunday. Depending on, Greg, which package you're on, the ballpark I'd say probably you can pick around 6 o'clock, 6:30, depending on which trip that you are on Sunday night, that you'll be back at your respective hotel, give or take a half hour. Michael, I don't know, do you see anything else? Yes, Nancy Woods, it's all a leisurely walk. Oh, wise guy.
I don't, nothing's kind of jumping out at me, but like I said, I'll go through the transcript, at first thing in the morning and make sure that anything we didn't answer gets addressed.
Casey, I think your question was answered at Templeton Hall in Cooperstown.
And Casey, same with the late departure night you have. I'll look into your reservation, but the way we set it up with the both of the trips that were in Cooperstown, staying in Cooperstown and Oneonta, is that if you were flying in and arriving early or departing late, that extra hotel night would not be in Cooperstown, but it would be in Albany at the Marriott, which is literally like 1.9 miles from the airport and has a complimentary airport shuttle. But I will go into your reservation and make sure that all checks out as it needs to.
Ginny and Mark, you had a question in regards to the people that you're traveling with, that you booked 6 people and only 2. It's possible that we might have not had everybody's emails. I'm not really sure. I don't have that info right in front of me, but if only 2 of the 6 people got our information and the other 4 have not, it's possible that we did not, that you were the lead person who booked it and we did not get everybody's email. But you could give us a call, tomorrow or Thursday, and we can kind of dive into that a little bit and make sure that everybody's gotten what they need.
And you
This
can
is
also shoot me an email and I can look into it.
Yeah, and if you didn't get the luggage wrap, it's not the end of the world. We do have extra ones that you can ask your tour host once you do indeed check in. For those of you who have not participated in a program like this before, you are up and in for, obviously, baseball fans. I'm assuming you have a lead person that you're coming in to see as a player. You're in for really some of the best 2 to 3 to 4 days of your baseball experience. It is just an amazing weekend. I have to applaud my staff and the program that we run and the tour hosts that are on who actually deliver it to everybody. We've got the program down fairly well. There might be things that you agree with or not. We've tried everything that we possibly could do to make the program better. We have some new things in store this year that we've had the liberty to be able to do now as well, enhancing the program. So we're overly excited. We're really pleased and happy that you are all here and that you're participating. And by the time you're done at the end of the 3 days, the only thing that we will ask you to do is please have patience. I want to kind of say COVID patience, but probably it's not a good word to use right now. Just be patient. There are a lot of people. We will do our very best to bring you when exactly you're supposed to leave, to drop you where we're supposed to drop you. We hope not to have any issues, but like anything else, as you're traveling with a group of people, and although it's, the transportation is really the group. So as much as you're considering yourselves on a group tour, it's really the transportation, it's the group. The rest of the time, you pretty much have the latitude and leeway to travel as you want to travel. Once we get you into Cooperstown both days or to the induction site, the time is yours. You can take a walk, you can go down to the lake, you can do some other activity. There's batting cages that you can participate in. It's really, the time is up to yourself. So the only tour part of it is the transportation, getting from your hotel to the sites that we're bringing you to. And once you see the congestion in town, you're going to be really happy that you are indeed on our motor coach with us, bringing you in each day. We've had people who participated with us in the past that tried to do this on their own years before. And once they traveled with us, their comment would be consistently has been, I would never do this on my own ever again. Because what we're really doing in by making this easy and hassle-free for you is you get the chance and opportunity to just enjoy yourselves. You don't have to battle parking and walking and shuttle buses and traffic. We've got the easy way in. We've got the shortcuts going in. We've got parking right at the induction site and the drop off right at the Hall of Fame. And you're going to see by the time you're done that this has just been a delightful way for you to enjoy yourselves over the 3 or 4 days that you're there. And we got a few people who are on this call as well. I think RJ is on, and the Woods, Nancy and Michael are on. I don't remember how many other people, but numerous folks who have been with us for many, many years, and they're participating once again as travelers because they are very well aware of the ease and operation of what we attempt to do. So, Michael, I'm going to leave it to you. Again, I thank everybody for being on. And Michael, if you want to wrap up, it's all you.
Yep, just thanks again for joining us. And just as a reminder, like I said, we will be circulating the link so that you can watch this again at leisure if needed. You've got my contact information. You know how to get a hold of us. I think the one thing I didn't stress is so in your itinerary, it has the cell phone number for your host. Please don't use that until your trip actually starts. If you have any questions before Friday, July 25th, call us in the office or email us. Once your trip starts, then yeah, please feel free to use that cell number for your tour host. But enjoy the rest of your evening and enjoy the rest of the All-Star game. And we'll see you in about, what, 8 or 9 days.
Michael, I'm going to jump in here with one more last question that was asked. And this is for both the general admission seating as well as the in the, as we call it, the VIP seating. You are in an unreserved section with reserved rows. So we are already set up where we block in the rows that you will be sitting in, both no matter where you're sitting. As we go in on Thursday and set up the seats that we have, they're little folding camping chairs that are out in the general admission area that are blocked in and roped off specifically for you. And if you're on the other seats on the inside of the fence, those seats as well are blocked in within rows. And we're talking about rows meaning like 5 or 6 rows that are all together. So you're not really gaining much ground whether you're in the first row or the fourth row. It's the same section. The inside of the fenced-in area that Michael pointed out to you in that photo is it's a fairly large space. So you are not sitting, 5 rows from this stage. That's where all the players, the media, the family members all sit, and then we're right in back of all of that.
All right. Well, thanks again and have a great evening. And just remember, please reach out if you have any questions prior to your arrival. Thank you, everyone.